I was once married to a truly good man, someone who loved me wholeheartedly, but I broke that bond and now I'm living through a consequence I never imagined. After our divorce, I ended up marrying the man I cheated with. Years later, I found out that my ex-husband had married someone else, someone I never expected. My best friend. David and I finalized our divorce in 2019. At the time, it felt like the most reasonable path forward. He discovered during the early stages of the COVID pandemic that I'd been unfaithful. I had been seeing Caleb, a waiter at a restaurant I frequented. When David confronted me about it, I didn't deny it or try to soften the truth. I admitted everything. I told him I had fallen out of love and believed ending our marriage was the right move. To his credit, David handled the entire situation with dignity. There were no ugly fights, no courtroom drama. We split peacefully, dividing our lives without bitterness. He relocated about 2 hours away to a quieter city near the university where he was pursuing a PhD and had accepted a new job. I stayed behind with Caleb, who later became my second husband. David and I agreed to maintain civility. I even reached out on his birthday, sent greetings during holidays, and mailed a gift when he earned his doctorate, but I never got a response, not even a quick text to say thank you. I found it puzzling, especially considering David's character. He was always the kind of person who sent handwritten notes for even the smallest gestures. My parents, his sister, and several people in our old circle all received thank you cards from him, but not me. Still, I tried to let it go. Maybe he needed space. Maybe the pain still lingered. Meanwhile, I threw myself into my new life with Caleb. He had 3 kids from a previous relationship, and with a baby on the way, we were overwhelmed with the chaos of merging families and juggling full schedules. My closest friend from college, Rachel, was also busy. She lived in the same city David had moved to. A sharp legal mind, she worked as a lawyer and also taught part-time at the university. We had the kind of friendship that could survive months of silence. When we reconnected, it was always as if no time had passed. So when our conversations became infrequent, I didn't worry. The last message I got from her was in late 2021. She mentioned being buried in work, and I assumed she was seeing someone new. Rachel had a habit of disappearing during fresh relationships and resurfacing when things settled. I figured that's all it was. Then last summer, Caleb and I visited the city where both David and Rachel lived. I tried calling her, hoping we could catch up over lunch or coffee, but she didn't answer. I was a little hurt, but chalked it up to her being swamped or maybe wrapped up in another relationship. I reconnected with some other old friends instead and did my best not to overthink it. In October, I returned for a Halloween party thrown by a former classmate. I went solo this time. I was hoping to relax, maybe see Rachel, and she was there, dressed as Cleopatra, sipping wine near the bar. When I approached, she looked stunned to see me. Her hug was half-hearted, and her smile barely flickered. "Hey," I greeted, trying to sound upbeat. "I tried calling you this summer." She blinked, then said, "Yeah, I was on my honeymoon then. Sorry I didn't get back to you." Froze. "Your honeymoon? Wait, you got married?" She nodded, her expression unreadable. "Wow, when did that happen? You never even mentioned you were dating anyone." Rachel hesitated, then quietly dropped the bomb. "It's David." My mind went blank. The name hit me like a sledgehammer. I stood there, stunned, ears ringing. "Wait, what?" I began, but she cut me off. "You don't get to be angry," she said flatly. "You broke his heart. We didn't even speak until 2 years after your divorce. You picked a guy who brought you coffee over someone who gave you everything." Her words cut deep. I spent the rest of that weekend drinking too much, trying to dull the ache in my chest. I couldn't believe it. Rachel, my best friend since college, had married the man I once thought I'd grow old with. The man I betrayed. The man I still thought about more than I probably should. And she hadn't even told me. When I got home, something inside me shifted. I couldn't look at Caleb the same way. I grew distant with him, cold even. Kids noticed. I spent hours lost in old photos, haunted by memories I thought I'd buried. David's quiet laugh, the way he pulled me into his arms at the end of the day, how he forgave without words and the deeper silence he used when he couldn't. After weeks of this, Caleb finally snapped. We had a massive fight. He accused me of hiding something, of cheating again. I broke down and told him everything. About David. About Rachel. About the wedding. How much it hurt. He looked at me with contempt. "You're acting like you've been betrayed," he said. "I've known about them for a while. It's all over social media. You just didn't want to see it." That sent me over the edge. I screamed at him for not telling me, for letting me chase after Rachel like an idiot, for watching me spiral while saying nothing. "You still love him," he said bluntly. "That's not true," I snapped. "If it wasn't, this wouldn't be tearing you apart." We argued all night. By sunrise, I left for work without sleeping and crashed at my parents' house afterward. I needed space. But when I returned a few days later, nothing had changed. We fought again. "You're emotionally cheating," Caleb said. "And honestly, maybe that's worse. If you were really over him, you wouldn't act like someone died." I lashed out, called him stupid, said he didn't understand because he never had meaningful friendships. It was cruel. I regretted it the second the words left my mouth, but I couldn't help it. I was drowning in sorrow and regret. That night, I lay awake thinking about all that I'd lost. Years ago, I made a choice thinking I was pursuing happiness. I thought love was supposed to be thrilling and spontaneous. But what I had with David, that was quiet, enduring, and true. And I threw it away for someone who made me feel wanted in fleeting moments but never really understood me the way David had. Now Rachel had stepped into my old life. She was the one receiving the flowers, the handwritten cards, the warm forehead kisses before work. She had become part of the world I abandoned. And she didn't call me back because I no longer belonged. I had built a new life, but the foundation was flawed from the start. And now I can't help but wonder if this is karma. Not in flames or fury, but in silence, in being forgotten by the people you can't stop remembering. I wanted closure, a chance to explain. But what I got instead was the hollow truth that some losses are final, and some doors once closed stay that way forever.